All right, welcome back to My Mom's Basement. It is Robbie Fox, and I am here with Brody King. We are here. You're here of AEW and also of God's Hate, because today I want to talk to you about the hardcore scene and the wrestling scene coming together, how they come together, how they came together in your life. You're here with the King 9 boys. How did you meet the King 9 boys? Just in the scene?
Yeah, I mean, we met them before. Was King 9 even a band yet? No. Yeah, so I've known most of them since before King 9 was a band. Some of them used to play in a band called Backtrack. They used to tour a lot. And, yeah, they came to the West Coast a bunch. I came to the East Coast. Then we just became friends.
So when do you get into the hardcore scene? Do you grow up going to shows, you're a fan of it, and then you get into a band? You played in bands growing up?
Yeah, so I grew up like 45 minutes north of Los Angeles, little town called Palmdale. Afro Man is famously from there.
Yep.
But we were far enough away to where it was hard to get to shows in the Valley or in LA, but we had like a ton of kids. It's like a suburb of LA, and I started going to shows when I was like 12, 13. I would go to like local punk shows, and then like I saw like I think the first big band I saw was Guttermouth.
Okay.
And then I saw like a Casualty show. But then when I got into high school, that's when I started going to like hardcore shows, and there was like local hardcore bands. And then the first big band that played in our town was Avenged Sevenfold when they like their first record came out.
Yeah.
So that was like crazy. And then like a bunch of metalcore bands came, and then like Madball came and Terror came, and that's kind of like what opened the door for seeing those bands.
Yeah.
But like I was really big into like punk and metal, which was like, I don't know, I think I was just trying to consume any like
Rage music,
subgenre,
aggression music,
like alternative music. So it's like I would just go to, at the time Hot Topic actually had a lot of music selection.
Yeah.
And I would just kind of take whatever recommendations. Like I listened to like, Pennywise, Bad Religion, AFI, but then I also listened to like Slipknot, Mudvayne, and like stuff like that. And that's what got me into Hatebreed. Like I saw Hatebreed on MTV2. The I Will Be Heard music videos on there.
Where people like nominate? Is that the? No?
I don't know if it might have been like a Headbangers Ball, because Jamie used to like host that, but it was just on, and I just remember like it's this big industrial like warehouse, and then people just pitting, and it just looked insane, and people are stage diving. It's like, I want to know what this is.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my entry into hardcore.
What's the biggest difference growing up going to punk shows and hardcore shows?
Probably the physicality.
Yeah.
Like, punk shows like are your standard like circle pit. Like there's probably a bunch of like underage kids getting shit faced, and then, like it smells really bad.
Yeah.
Hardcore is like you see a lot more like clean cut people that are just like trying to whoop each other's ass.
Yeah. Have you seen Green Room? The
Oh
movie?
yeah.
Does that a bad conception of hardcore because it went so famous and it's Nazi hardcore bar?
Yeah, I mean like that movie is bullshit. Like I thought it was like in a fantasy realm, it is a fine movie, but it's like any punk band, especially like a PC punk band, is not going to be like, oh, we really need this $200. We're going to play in front of Nazis. It's like, that's just not going to happen. There would have been a full U-turn of like, all right, we're going to get out of here now.
As soon as you see the first swastika, you're out of there.
You're done.
Get the fuck out of there. So what's the first band you actually get into?
Probably
Is it God's Hate? Or no.
Oh, that I
you're
fronted.
in. Yeah.
So I played with bands like in high school. We had like a couple things, but nothing of note. Like we'd play like one or two shows, and then I was in a band called Sleepwalkers with a bunch of my friends from the Valley, and we did a couple tours, put out like a tape, and like nothing like big. But God's Hate was like the first actual band that I was in.
And during this time where you're in some bands putting out music, do you have the wrestling dream? Are you training to be a wrestler yet? So
God's Hate and wrestling kind of almost came about at the same time. My best friend Colin, who pretty much writes all the God's Hate music, he has been like a lifelong wrestling fan. Mm-hmm. So have I. And like at this time, this was 2014. This was like kind of around the time that CM Punk like was doing the Straight Edge Society stuff, and he was like super topical. So that was like, that's what drove us back into wrestling. Was like, oh, this like massive straight edge wrestler. This is awesome. Which I heard you have a problem with straight edge people.
Yeah, no. I don't have a problem with straight edge people.
yeah, so we were watching it a lot, and then Colin met an old wrestler, like just an old job guy from the 90s, through his girlfriend, and he was like, yeah, if you ever want to like run the ropes or take a bump, like there's a school in LA that like we can go and take a couple private classes or whatever. And he posted some photos of him like running the ropes. I'm like, the fuck are you doing, man? Like, why did you not tell me about this? And he's like, well, you want to try it? I was like, yeah. And then so like we went to a local showcase at what then became my school, Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy.
Yep.
And we watched like it's literally a room, maybe a little bit bigger than this room.
Yeah.
And like there's a ring in it, and it fits about 40
the flags,
people.
right?
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the right
flags
room.
around the room. It fits about 40 people.
Yeah.
And it was packed, and like, you know, just all the students come in and do their showcase, and it was like, wow, this is awesome. Felt like a punk rock show because it's just like, you know, everyone's just kind of on top of each other. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's loud. That Monday I signed up for wrestling school.
Wow. Did you fall in love with the training right away?
Yeah. So I mean, like, coming from like punk and hardcore music, like physicality is like second nature. So it was like, you know, when they're usually at wrestling schools, they're like, oh, this is going to be hard. Like, you know, you got to be conditioned. You got to be in shape. Like, you're going to get hit. Like, these are all things that are just going to happen. And it's just like, okay, like, I've been like moshing like my whole life. And like, I'm used to getting punched in the face. It's fine. Like, the conditioning was fucking hard.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, they usually try to like go a little harder in the beginning to see like if you really want to do this. So you're like doing 300 squats, 100 push-ups, and it's like, I mean, I don't know what a lot of people think, but there's people that have literally never done a physical activity that sign up for wrestling school, and they're like, I want to be John Cena, and you're like, have you seen John Cena?
This is where the Curb Your Enthusiasm music plays for me, because I got weeded out of wrestling school 2 months in. Yeah, Pat Buck's wrestling school.
Oh,
Creative Pro. Yep, I went for a summer, and I said, yeah, that hurts too much.
I mean, you know, at least you knew that it wasn't for you.
I knew it wasn't for me. I did try to put in the work the year leading up to it. I did GOMAD. You ever hear GOMAD?
No.
Gallon of milk a day. I was trying to put on weight, so I was just drinking milk and milk and milk.
At least you tried.
I tried. I put on 40 pounds in 1 year. And then
how did that look on you?
Flabby. Weird. I look skinny fat, you know? And then went into wrestling training, lasted like a month and a half, 2 months, and was out.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that do not.
Most people do that. When I was there, guess who was there? Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Piece of shit.
That piece of shit.
Piece of shit.
He was in school with me.
Yeah, he's
my
a scumbag.
classmate. Yeah.
You listen to Max?
Fuck
You're
you,
a fucking
Max.
scumbag. Fuck you. Yeah.
We hate you. Yeah.
But you know, you're right. A lot of people, you know, will get 30 people to sign up for a beginner class, and then 10 drop off in that first day. They're just like, fuck this. It's not for me. Which, you know, good on them, because this was going to be a bad journey for you anyways.
Yeah, you got to know this ain't for me. I got to stay on this side of the barricade.
But like my trainer likes to say that, you know, on the flip side of that, they see someone come in like me who was like, I wasn't in great shape, but it's like I'm in, you know, physical condition to like do this.
You could pick up another grown man.
Yeah, I'm like heavily tattooed. He's just like, oh, look, who's this tough guy like coming in here? And he's just like, they want to try to break me.
Yep.
And I'm just too stubborn.
You're unbreakable.
Yeah, you know.
Can't break Brody.
It's just not going to happen.
No.
And, you know, now I'm like the success story of Santino Brothers.
You are, and you're also like the success story of the hardcore scene coming into wrestling, and we're seeing more and more of that. You see Danhausen tweeting about, you know, the hardcore wrestlers all the time, or hardcore bands all the time. I feel like this is there's synergy between both fan bases, right, and just the outcast kind of vibe. I feel like this is the opportunity for more crossover, AEW hardcore wrestlers. Do you feel the same way?
100%. I mean, it is unique that, like, you know, when we were growing up, there was like the headbangers, like Mosh and Thrasher, and they would have like typo negative shirts or whatever. It's like, that's not them.
No,
that's a fucking gimmick. Like, someone dressed them
We
up.
could all see through that.
Yeah, it's like you came in a kilt and like a agnostic front shirt. Like, those don't go together.
Yeah.
But you know, it was all just a gimmick. And like, I think anything like that, aside from Jerry Lynn is the best, and he is a true metalhead, and you know, lives by what he says. But
also, a man with a pile driver that good, we're never going to say anything bad about.
you know.
Maybe the greatest pile driver out there.
I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
But now there is actual representation for kids like myself that were growing up, you know, wanting to see these people be the real thing in real life. Like,
Yeah.
you know, CM Punk was really one that kind of like blew the door open for that. He was, you know, 6'1", 6'2", like normal body guy, tattoos. Like, he looks like someone that would be going to a punk or hardcore show.
Definitely.
He's not, you know, Batista big or whatever. And but you know, he had that attitude and he had that fire behind him that you could tell like he was real.
Yeah.
And now you have, you know, you have me, you have Darby Allin, you have the Butcher, Andy Williams, who, you know, is from Every Time I Die.
Yeah.
Or as he just says, from music now. But you know, you got Ruby Soho, you got all these people that are actually representing punk and hardcore music in a proper way, know what they're talking about. You put them on a podcast, they can talk about music forever. Mm-hmm. You know, I've hung out with Darby, and then just the other day, he's just like, hey, you want to meet Raymond Pettibone? And I was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like I did all of the Black Flag artwork. I'm like, yeah, hey, man, nice to meet you, big fan. He was kind of a weirdo, but he was great. I mean, like, what do you expect?
That's kind of what you want. Like, if I meet Tim Burton, I want him to be a little out there.
Yeah, you want him to be kooky and weird. Yeah. But it's cool that, like, you know, kids can listen to a podcast like this and be like, oh, I want to know more about Brody. And it's like, oh, what's God's Hate? Or, like, what's Dead Body? Or what's King 9? And then, like, you know, I've had a lot of kids come up to me and be like, hey, I got into hardcore music because of you, and now I like this band and this band. Like, do you have any other bands you'd like to recommend? And I just, like, yeah, listen to all this. And then it's like, you know, like King 9 was saying in their podcast, during Full Gear, we played a show in Brooklyn, and it was King 9, God's Hate, Living Weapon, and Eternal Bleeding, famous Long Island Slam death metal band.
Incredible band, Eternal Bleeding.
And a lot of wrestling fans came to that show, and a lot of wrestlers came to that show. Like, I know they mentioned Darby Allin, but it was like Darby, Santana, Ortiz, Eddie Kingston, Ethan Page, like Danny Garcia, Isaiah Cassidy. They were like in the pit, like stage diving. But it was like a lot of their first experience in a hardcore show.
Yeah.
And like watching their faces was really funny, because it's like, you know, Darby is used to that. Like, he knows what he's doing. But like a lot of those guys are just like, what the fuck is happening?
It's almost like taking someone to their first wrestling show, right? Like, where if they don't know what to expect, it's like a holy fuck experience.
But I feel like a lot of people, like, they at least are familiar with it.
True.
Like,
they watched it when they were a kid. They know what to,
Ethan Page, like, put what he experienced perfectly, in my opinion, and how it encapsulates hardcore music. He's like, it is a safe place to do very unsafe things. And it's very true, because he's just like, dude, I didn't know, like, if people were fighting or if they were friends because they were, like, hugging after punching each other. I'm like, yeah, no, it's just how it goes.
It's crazy. Some of the, like I said with King 9, some of the No Barricade videos I watch, and someone runs up on stage, and then they'll, like, step on, like, 10 heads, like, running off the crowd, dive, and then they land on their head, but then they get up and the crowd cheers for them.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, the people that don't understand that is allowed in that environment.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, you know, there was the video or the picture of me going viral stage diving at Sound and Fury, and, like, wrestling Reddit was not having it. They were just like, this is dangerous, you're going to paralyze somebody. But, like, they're just, like, harping on me. I'm like, dude, like, those people knew what was happening. I knew what was happening. It was safe. It's fine. Shut up.
Yeah, you can't satisfy the wrestling Reddit people.
Yeah.
You'll never be able to do that.
And then Tosh.0, you know, puts it on his Instagram.
He was on Tosh.0?
He put it on his Instagram.
Is he still on the air?
I don't know. He's somewhere, you know, trying to scrape pennies from something.
If he is, he probably has more viewers than me, so I shouldn't talk shit. But, like,
you know,
who's watching Tosh.0?
Hey, talk shit. Talk your shit.
2023, Tosh.0.
What's he going to do?
Let's start a beef. That would be great. That would be good for my podcast.
Tosh, I got Robbie's back. You want to fuck with him, you fuck with me.
That's fucking right, Tosh. Come after us. When it comes to the fan bases, hardcore fan bases, wrestling fan bases, is there one that's more annoying?
I mean,
it's got to be wrestling, right?
So that's a hard question, because, like, both fan bases are so passionate about their fandom of that thing.
And are they gatekeepy? Are they both so gatekeepy?
Oh, yeah. Like,
you know, wrestling fans I know are.
Yeah, and you know, maybe wrestling fans are a little bit worse, because it's like, you know, in essence, wrestling is a very nerdy thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I love telling wrestlers that like, you know, they have this like machismo, like I'm the man type thing. It's like, dude, we dress up in our underwear and we fucking basically go fight each other naked.
Yeah.
It's not that manly.
Yeah.
But you know, they can believe whatever they want in their head.
Yeah.
And then the fans, like, you know, a lot of them, like I said, I shouldn't say a lot of them, but there's like these unathletic people that are then like criticizing wrestlers, or they're criticizing the other fans that like X wrestler. And it's like they try to be smarter than wrestling, but they're just like the biggest, you know, marks or fans that there are.
Yeah, marks.
Because they are criticizing something that is a work.
Yeah.
But it's that part is really funny to me. But on the flip side, you know, hardcore music like can be very gatekeepy. You know, you got the purists that think like this is how it is, this is how it always needs to be. And in a time right now when like we have bands like Turnstile and Scowl and like these bands that are transcending the genre, that are bringing in so many people from TikTok or YouTube or whatever, like, you know, there's going to be the people that don't want them there and that are going to try to keep them out. But like that is for the good of the growth of the genre. Yeah. It's like, do you want to see God's Hate and King 9 be a band in 5 years? Then let these people in and let them consume our music and buy our stuff and like, you know, give us a reason to put out more music and play more shows.
Exactly. All right, my final question for you. How would you compare the thrill of being on stage with God's Hate to being in the ring with the crowd going wild for you, like, say, Wednesday?
I mean, they really go hand in hand. And I would say that being a pro wrestler really helped me be a better frontman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so and vice versa, honestly, because, you know, I was comfortable being in front of a crowd from being in bands, which is like the first major hurdle in wrestling, is being able to perform in front of people and not be nervous. But then through that, it's like, you know, with wrestling, I just tried to amp up everything that I liked. Like, I take elements from hardcore music, from punk music, from wrestling. Like, I always said that that Brody King, the wrestler, is myself, Nathan Blauvelt, Henry Rollins, Bruiser Brody, and like a caveman, and you just smash it all together.
I love that.
That's Brody King.
I love that description.
Yeah. So, you know, when you start turning that all up, it's like, I feel like I didn't have a character when I would play God's Hate, but now I kind of do. Like, it's more like manic and like mean, and, you know, I try to just be more aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, there's just a gif that my friend Bo made of me just like stomping on stage yelling "kill them" during like the finish the job part, and it's just like, it just adds to the vibe of the whole show. And it's like, you know, I feel like at this point some people kind of expect to see me be a little bit more
animated
than just a normal frontman.
Yeah. Have you ever talked to Jericho about that, like the wrestling frontman hand-in-hand connection?
Yeah, and I mean, he pretty much agrees. It's like they kind of go hand in hand, but like, you know, you just have to know when to pull back on one thing and like push it forward on the other. It's like, I can't be full wrestler.
No, you go too far, you're Kiss.
Yeah.
And I love Kiss. One of my favorite bands of all time, to be honest.
Seems to have worked out for them, you know?
Yeah, but that would be, you can't just be Brody King on stage.
Yeah, I'm not going to go out there in my gear and like, all right, guys.
In the front row.
Here we go. I'm going to powerbomb you all to fucking oblivion.
All right, this was great. I really appreciate you coming in, talking to me about the hardcore scene, wrestling, all that. Obviously, follow Brody King. Anything to plug?
Twitter and Instagram, Brody X King.
God's Hate.
Yeah, God's Hate at, I don't even know what it is. There we go. At God's Hate 818. We literally just made an Instagram within the last year.
Did he make it for you?
No, but we were just like trying to like always just be like low key about it, like the most punk rock. Like, oh, we don't have social media, but then you need it.
Yeah, you do. If you want to be successful, you need it. Yeah.
Go follow God's Hate.
Go follow God's Hate.
And closed casket activities.
And Tosh, we're coming for you.
Yeah, Tosh, you're dead.